Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talking About Birds, the only Cardinal podcast that, like 2023, will all be glad when it's over. My name is Nate Heininger, and I am joined in person,
Nate,
by my co-host, Ben Samorka.
hey, buddy.
Hey.
Good to see you.
Yeah. Too close.
You don't like this? I've been living at your house for the past few days. This is too close,
This
though.
is too close.
Okay. Yeah.
I
Too
can
intimate.
I can smell you.
The lights are dimmed right now.
Yeah. Yeah, we're just getting right into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we are in my basement, and we've set up party lights. We're recording on a drawing table.
It's a shitty table.
It's a little wobbly.
It's a shitty table.
Yeah, it's not a great table. But the party lights help. They're a little blinding. They're right over Ben's shoulders.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at him, but it's kind of hard to see him because there's multiple lights bouncing across my glasses.
Yeah. I can't even concentrate. It's so beautiful.
It looks good.
Yeah.
The funny thing is that this is like, we do make videos and they get a little bit of watch, but like for the most part, we're just doing this to ourselves.
Yep.
We've decided to make this experience more complicated for ourselves, more than it already was to get this whole thing set up. But no, it's been good. You've been in town for 4 days.
Yeah.
A lot of family, a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got a big haul from Santa Claus.
Of course.
Oh.
We've been good little boys.
I mean, some of us have been.
Well, we also have another reason to celebrate. I saw this on
Oh, you read about this? You saw this?
Have you seen this? Have you heard about this?
You read about this? Wow.
Today, Ozzie Smith turned 69 years old. How about that?
Wow. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Wow.
The party lights are for him as well. Happy birthday, Ozzie Smith, the
Wow.
wizard.
69.
Yeah.
Good year.
It's one of the funny numbers.
It is one of the funny numbers.
There's only a few of them.
There is. Does that make you feel old?
I guess that's just another drop in the bucket of like a cascading.
Yeah. I think, it's a shit year, right? We want 2023 to be over.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's no better way to end the year than celebrating Ozzie's 69th.
Hell yeah. I bet he could still play shortstop better than both of us.
Yeah, I don't think that there is much that we could do better than him.
Yeah.
Period.
Maybe setting up a shitty podcast.
I was just going to. He wouldn't understand the technical nature of setting up a podcast to be online. Well, but he could just pay somebody.
He'd pay someone, yeah, which is doing it better than us.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be in somebody's basement with party lights being shown in his blinding face.
It really is bad.
It is.
It's bad.
Yeah.
But we're doing it for
us.
For us and for Ozzie Smith.
Yeah.
And we're doing it for Adam Wainwright. Released his new single.
Yeah.
Time to Fly. Ben, music has been a big part of our lives.
Yeah.
For our entire lives, I think. It's something that you and I have connected with. We spend a lot of time talking and thinking about music.
Yeah.
How you feeling about Adam Wainwright's single?
We've been waiting for it.
Yeah.
I know that there's some talk in the Bird Scored that the song was maybe originally debuted live outside of Busch Stadium before the final series. Of course, I was not able to, be there myself.
Right.
So being able to, have it come out in this way, Adam Wainwright announces it on Twitter. Of course, I go to Spotify.
Right.
Of course, I'm sharing this link left and right.
Of course.
And then I hear the song.
Yeah.
And I am a fan of country music.
Yeah.
I've become more of a fan of country music lately.
Okay.
It's not the worst thing I've ever heard.
Okay, low bar, but
it's so bizarrely specific.
It's incredible.
Like usually what makes music good for me is that an artist will communicate something out to the audience that is personal to them, but then made to feel universal by the nature of the poetry of the song, right?
Right.
And Adam Wainwright's basically like, I was a Cardinal for 20 years. I was an amazing baseball player. Yep. I'm not so amazing anymore. So now I'm going to be a country music singer, and it's time to fly. And
thank
that's
you
okay.
to my fans.
Yes.
For supporting me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love Adam Wainwright. I really love how much he loves music. And I think that's interesting. And I appreciate his willingness to put himself out there, like to write music, and sing and perform, is a daring thing for anyone to do. Of course, he has an incredible fallback plan of being a incredibly wealthy man,
right?
But like
philanthropist,
yeah, he's
sex
got
symbol,
of course, sex symbol. And so I have a real appreciation for him and what he's doing with this. Personally, I felt like I could barely listen to the song, but without laughing or like kind of cringing the entire time.
Right.
I don't like country music as much as you do, though I do like, and when you say country music, I know you're saying like classic country music, right?
Yes, yeah. I'm not a big modern pop country
arena country,
the charts.
Sort of,
more the John Prine, the Willie Nelson, that kind of stuff, and even the more current guys, Sturgill Simpson. I like him.
Yeah, which is what Wayno is. He's going that route. This is it. Like it's interesting to me that the production is pretty lo-fi for the amount of money that we know he has. I was kind of expecting this to be, well, frankly, like a church album.
Oh, I was thinking it'd be like a stadium filler. Like he's going to play this at, what do they call the Keel now?
I don't know.
The Enterprise Center?
Oh, yeah, Enterprise Center. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we're kind of saying the same thing. Like really cheesy drums, real like full production, a lot of electric guitar leads and things like that. I really thought it was going to be like a pop country album, but the fact that it really is pretty simple, I appreciate. So I like what he's going for. I like that he's doing it. But I think the song was very much not for me. I don't really know who it's for. But I know some people are saying they like it, and that's
for Adam Wainwright.
For Adam Wainwright, yeah. And that's cool. Good for him. One of the most bizarre moments in like baseball viewing history for me was when they played like a minute and a half of one of his tracks during the broadcast while he was pitching.
Yeah.
It was very strange.
That is what actually makes it cool, is that like it's just one of the things that he does.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he's going to shove it down our throats or anything like that. No. And actually, I think if you like the song, you should like the song. I'm not
for sure.
Yucking yums.
Yeah.
But it's, he also helps people build irrigation and farms infrastructure in Africa and in America.
Right.
And like, it's just one of the things, like he's amazing.
That's kind of why I opened with that, is that I like that he's doing it because he clearly really cares about it. And it is, even if you have this incredible fallback and there's really no risk to it for him, like it's cool that he's doing it and he's putting himself out there and trying it.
Yeah.
But not really for me. It's kind of a silly song, but I'm sure some people are connecting.
He's like us in many ways. We watch baseball. We play video games. We
have
a podcast.
We do stupid shit like set up party lights to blast you in the eyes while you're trying to do a podcast.
When you're good at so many things,
when
you should share it.
Yeah. When you're elite at everything you touch. Yeah. Like our wobbly table that we're set up on.
It's stabilized by paper towels.
Yeah. But good for him. Like we said, hoping, a good 2024 to him and to everyone. You have any big New Year's plans?
Big New Year's plans. Me and my lovely wife. Hey, Mary.
She's right upstairs.
Right upstairs. Hopefully not listening to us
It'd be the first time she's ever listened to the podcast.
That might be true. She always says that she gets to listen to half of it. We have lovely dinner reservations at a restaurant near our house. We'll be the reservations at 10. We'll clink champagne glasses at midnight.
Wow.
And then probably be in the Uber about 5 to 10 minutes after that.
Yeah.
And home and sleeping and protecting our kitties from the horrifying fireworks. The gunfire.
Yeah.
We do have a neighbor that shoots off a gun.
Yeah. That sucks.
And being a little city boy, every year I'm like, you're not only are you scaring the kitties, you're scaring me. Don't love it, but whatever.
Then this neighbor moved, but a handful of years ago, like right when we moved into our house, the very one that we're recording in right now. I think it was New Year's. It might have been 4th of July. Either way, at some moment of celebration, we heard like a lot of fireworks and things going off. And then we heard something that was very obviously not fireworks. And there was a man 2 houses down standing on his back porch, just firing an AK-47
oh my
just
God.
into the air.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm hoping those are blanks, but I highly doubt it.
Yeah. Well,
it's one of the most insane, shitty things I've ever seen in my entire life.
Obviously, it's dangerous, full stop. But I think and I'm sure everyone listening understands this, but like the idea, like those things come back down and like you live in a city.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I don't know what the trajectory of a bullet, but it can't go that far.
Yeah.
How
far could a bullet go?
Tweet at us. Talk about birds. But
that's what we want people tweeting us about.
Yeah. No, don't tweet us about gun stuff. We don't know what we're talking about.
I don't know why we're going down this
route.
We're
afraid. But no, I'm going to have a lovely New Year's. What about you, Nate?
We've stayed home for several years in a row now with the kids.
Because you're so scared.
Because we're so scared.
Yeah.
That's why I bought an AK-47. No, we've been staying in. We've got the kids, and like the whole Christmas and everything is a lot. So we've gotten into the habit now of New Year's Eve being a relatively calm thing. We are, however, watching, and I would recommend this to anyone and everyone. There is a Bollywood film on Netflix called Happy New Year.
Sounds appropriate.
Well, it actually happened because we were having a get together here several years ago, pre-kids.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah. We purposely excluded you for obvious reasons, but we had people over and we got discussing like there's a lot of holiday movies, and you can usually find a holiday movie for most holidays, at least the big ones. And there's really no, at least to our recollection at the time, and still really today, at least for me, couldn't think of any New Year's Eve or New Year's Day movies where that's like a part of it.
Yeah.
You know? And so we thought, well, let's look in Netflix if there's any New Year's movies. And we just searched New Year's, and this came up. I don't know if you've watched much Bollywood. I'm a big fan. Molly's a big fan. You just don't get the like production and absurdity and silliness of Bollywood films and Western films. And almost all of them we've watched are, I think, like objectively stupid, but I think they're kind of going for that.
Yeah.
And this is a 3.5-hour heist film.
My God.
Yeah. Well, there's the thing with Bollywood is there's no subtext. Everything is said multiple times and often sang about. So if there's a bad guy who's like got some bad feeling, he's going to tell you about him. He's going to tell you about him a couple times. And he's probably going to do a song about like why he is the way he is. Yeah. If someone is feeling a thing about a person, they're going to say it multiple times. They're going to do a whole song about how they feel about that person. Sure. And the better the budget, the more ridiculous. Like you I'm sure you can at least conjure something, even if you've never seen it.
I've seen the doing a bad pantomime of the dance moves.
Yeah, but so you get it. You get it. Yeah. If you saw RRR, which kind of broke through a few years ago,
didn't see it.
Oh, it's great. That one actually is way more like, I think you would actually like that one.
Yeah.
But anyway, Happy New Year. It's a heist film. They have to plan they're robbing a rich guy, and in order to rob this rich guy, of course, they have to enter into an international dance competition.
Oh,
and so it's great. And we've watched it now every New Year for quite a while now.
It's your favorite movie.
So we'll be watching Happy New Year. Yeah, on IMDb, it has a rating of like a 4.5.
Yeah.
And that's bullshit. It's way better than that. Now, I won't say that it is like a good movie, but it's we love it.
All right. Again, tweet at us if you've seen.
And I highly recommend. Like, it's not just a bit. We don't watch a 3.5 hour.
No, I can't imagine you could. Yeah,
I do commit to bits for longer than that
for
worse payoffs, but this one, it's actually good.
Yeah, the room that we're sitting in right now is evidence of that.
Yeah, this is a bit for no one.
I like it.
So that's what we'll be doing. Ringing in the new year. Yeah. There's not a lot of Cardinal news going on right now because it was just the weekend.
Adam Wainwright released a single.
That was a big one.
That was huge.
Yeah, that was a big one. But we've already covered that.
That's
but we
fair.
should talk a little bit about at least Cardinal adjacent or Cardinal relate, like, in the sphere of Cardinal news. And I think the big one, really the big two that we talked a lot about on the show leading up to this week, are two guys are now off the market. Yeah. Two guys that we both thought should be a Cardinal, and at different times over this offseason thought there was a legitimate possibility.
Yeah.
Now that it's all said and done, I'm not surprised that the Cardinals sort of dropped out of the rumors.
Right.
Not that far into the whole system. We had some high hopes, but let's just start with the big one. Yamamoto. He has been signed to the Dodgers, damn it, for 12 years, $325 million. If you're listening to this podcast, surely you already know about this, but we spend a lot of time talking about this. So I figured we've got to wrap up the Yamamoto saga from a Cardinals perspective. Now that we've seen it, it's done. The contract is out there. How are you feeling about just the whole thing?
Yeah. Well, yeah. How am I feeling about the whole thing? And just to add a little extra color to it. So it's 12 years, 325, like Nate just said, which within that $325 $1 million mark is a $50 million signing bonus. So that means that Yamamoto will get that right away.
Mm-hmm.
There are no deferrals in this contract. It also comes with a almost $51 million posting fee that will be paid to his former team, the Oryx Buffaloes. That is also to be paid in one lump sum. That brings the overall commitment to $375. So again, it's $325, $50 million immediately, and then $50 million immediately, and then $51 to his former team for the right to sign him.
Yeah.
So Dodgers, from a Dodgers perspective or a baseball perspective, employer of Yamamoto, it's 12 years, $375 million. At least that's what the team will be spending.
Right.
I have a lot of opinions on this. I do think it sounds like it doesn't sound, it's been reported by reputable sources that the Yankees offered him higher AAV, that the Giants had the same offer. He decided to go with the Dodgers. There are opt-outs included. The Yankees included opt-outs. I'm guessing by what's been going on in background right now, the Cardinals were not as involved as we wish they would believe, or as we wish to believe.
Yeah.
And I think I think the Twitter people say, I don't want to carry any water for Mo and Co.
Right.
But I do think he was going to sign with the Dodgers once Ohtani signed there.
Yeah.
The fact that he's going for lower AAV, the deal is actually backloaded so that if he opts out in the first opportunity that his contract allows, most of the money is on the back end. So he obviously has a lot of leverage. He just signed one of the biggest contracts in baseball history, and he's never pitched in the big leagues.
Right.
So what he did was amazing and impressive. But it seemed like Yamamoto was more interested in being a Dodger and more interested in being with Ohtani than just totally maximizing the money right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it is still an enormous amount of money, right? And so what is at that level, a 350 versus 325 or whatever, you're literally talking in like single digit percentages, right? And so for someone at that range, like, you probably would care more about the situation. And it's hard to argue. It sucks, but it's hard to argue with anyone wanting to play with the Dodgers over anyone else right now.
Well, this is part of why you sign Shohei Ohtani.
Right.
Is not only do you make yourself the most like must watch game every night because you have the most exciting player in baseball, but you've just kind of like made yourself the most relevant baseball franchise to an entire island, and that island happens to be baseball crazy and is having like a golden era of talent.
Some of the best talent. The best player in baseball is from Japan, and we don't know about Yamamoto, but I mean, at worst, you have to think he's like a 2, but if not a like absolute ace.
There's no reason to think he won't be. And there's no reason to think he won't be successful right out of the gates.
Yeah.
And I think that if you're a baseball fan, that you should probably get used to this, because if I'm a Japanese player and I've just seen Yamamoto and Ohtani make the kind of money that I can't even like, it's so much money that I can't even really wrap my mind around what that is like. Why wouldn't I want to go play with the 2 hottest stars in America, in Japan? Why wouldn't I? Like, this is why they did that.
Yeah.
It's going to give them advantage for the foreseeable future. The same way that anytime a Japanese player comes over or is talking about being signed, the Mariners are kind of in the room of the conversation because of Ichiro.
Well,
it's just been reset.
That there is literal Japanese business people involved in the ownership of the Mariners, but yes, for sure,
it's the same thing.
Yeah. Or like the White Sox with Cuban players, at least for a very narrow window.
Well, that seems to be done now, but
yeah,
they fucked
you have
that
to
up.
still be good, but like Luis Robert Lubob, who the Cardinals, every Cardinal fan has a little twinge every time you hear that name, because by reporting it was during the big second place era of the St. Louis Cardinals, and he reportedly chose the White Sox because of the Cuban contingency.
Jose Abreu, Yohan Moncada,
right.
I'm forgetting
they're
else.
all humans. Like, it
Yasmani
makes
Grandal.
sense. Yeah, it makes sense, right? Like Yamamoto said he wants to play with another Japanese player.
Yeah.
He didn't specifically say Ohtani, but like, if you get to pick what Japanese player you want to play with, you're picking Ohtani.
And if you have some of the premier orgs in baseball fawning after you, I'm not saying you'd be dumb not to choose the Dodgers, but like, they're the obvious number one.
Right.
They have the most everything.
Yeah.
They're in the playoffs every year. They, even when they're good, they go sign Freddie Freeman.
Right. There was reporting, and I don't know if this was real or if this was just like a wish casting from New York Yankee reporters around, like, when it kind of looked like he might sign with the Yankees, there was this idea that Yamamoto wanted to lead a franchise back to relevancy. And I think that might have just been an article someone wrote hoping Yamamoto
players care about that.
I don't know. I mean, that gets thrown around, right?
The Japanese player, like,
I don't know.
Maybe.
I do think there is a level of fame that like a different type of fame.
Yeah.
Ohtani winning a World Series with the Dodgers, everyone's going to say, that's so great that Ohtani got that.
Yeah.
And he had to go join a juggernaut in order to get it.
Right.
If Ohtani had signed with the Mets or the Yankees or something like that, the story would be like Ohtani went to that city and helped bring them a World Series or whatever. And I think there's probably something to that. Like, Joe Madden and all of those Cubs guys are forever going to be the team that got the Cubs across the finish line. The Red Sox in early 2000s, like, that's still talked about, the team that broke the drought. And the Yankees aren't in anything like that, any drought like those teams, but they certainly kind of feel that way. They present themselves
They
as
haven't won a World Series since 2009, Nate.
I know. How can they even still be a franchise, right? But I think that probably some people are that way. I would suspect it would be a Yamamoto probably is not that way, because a Yamamoto hasn't even pitched in the big leagues and hasn't gotten the bag yet. I could see it if you've won it with somewhere else and you're like, now I want to go and be the hero somewhere. But otherwise, like, why wouldn't you sign with the Dodgers? Especially over like the Giants or the Yankees.
Yeah.
If really your goal is to win, if your singular goal is to win the World Series.
And if you feel the inverse way, what better thing to do than if you don't want to be the center of attention?
Yeah.
There's no smarter move than to sign the team with the team that just signed Shohei Ohtani to the biggest contract in the history of sports.
Because I do think like the most likely thing is that Yamamoto struggles at first because that's just how baseball go, right? Like,
also, major league hitters are significantly better than MPB.
His stuff is insane. Like, I don't know if you watched that clip that went viral, a little bit of him throwing BP.
Yeah.
And I watched it like 100 times because it's like intoxicating. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so I think he's going to be legit, but like it might take a little while. Ohtani was not immediately the best player in baseball.
Look, Ohtani's also made a ton of adjustments. Like,
he has.
Ohtani threw in a 2-seamer like towards the end of last year. Like Ohtani, like major league hitter, obviously they're the best in the world.
Yeah.
Yamamoto is going to come in and he's going to give up way more action than he's ever given up in his entire life. But I do agree he'll figure it out. He might not win back-to-back Cy Youngs, but I do think it's fair to assume that he will be a solid 1 or 2 in a winning team's rotation for the foreseeable future. I guess.
Minimum, that's the interesting thing, and I did want to talk about that actually because like you said, you don't want to carry the water for Mo and Co. But like it certainly seems like if they wanted to actually sign Yamamoto, now that we have all the contract details, the Dodgers, who he clearly preferred to play for, spent $375 million.
Yeah.
So if the Cardinals were going to get him, they'd have to load it up so high that he would have to say like, sorry, I can't turn down $60 million more dollars. So now all of a sudden the Cardinals are paying $400 something million total for a guy who's never pitched in the big leagues.
Right.
And that is, even though we've said over and over and over, the Cardinals could double their payroll and still be fine. You still want them to be smart with it. And at that level, I do start to be like, okay, that is kind of a lot for a guy that's never pitched. And also above and beyond just the dollar amount, 12 years is a long ass time to sign anyone, let alone a pitcher, and then let alone a guy who's never played in the big leagues. He basically got a contract as if he is a major league Cy Young winner. Yeah. And I can understand why any organization would consider that risk to be too high. And so I was kind of expecting to walk out of this whole thing being like, Yamamoto signed for $225 over 8 years and the Cardinals can't beat that. Like, I was prepared for that rant. Now that it's all done, I'm like, I get it. Good luck, Dodgers. It's going to be hilarious when they bounce in the NLDS again and again, hopefully against the Cardinals. But like, good luck. It is what it is. We can't really compete with that. I wish that the Cardinals would. I think that they could if they want. Yeah. But that like the years, like 12 years, like as any pitcher, he's essentially a pitching prospect.
Yes.
Like the top of the pitching prospect pile by a mile, but like it was a fun rhyme. Pile by a mile. But still, like I think you and I were talking a couple nights ago. If Paul Skeens,
this might break your guy's brain, but we were having an in-depth baseball conversation just the other night, just
at
hanging
like
out.
2:30 in the morning.
Maybe some beers were had, but it was totally normal and cool.
We should start a podcast, man.
That is probably how this podcast came about.
Yeah, I think it was. Like Paul Skeens, first overall, in the 2023 draft, seems as surefire a success. A possible success in the MLB as anyone else, any other pitching prospect before him. What would he get on the open market if we didn't have a draft system and he just became a free agent at the end of his college career, or he could just enter the MLB at any point? Like, what would he get?
Yeah.
And it's certainly not $325 million.
You're right. I do think that's a little apples and oranges conversation in
Right.
the sense that I do believe that NBB is a higher level of
Yes.
performance than college baseball. He's also older, therefore he's done it longer.
Right.
That being said, I still do think Paul Skeens probably could have pitched in the big leagues last year as soon as he was drafted and been fine. He probably, based on what we're seeing this offseason, the Dodgers offer him, I don't know, 7 years, 180 or something. It's going to be over $100 million because of his age. He might even be, even though he's unproven, like you're weighing that scale. Does the younger years and the fresher arm value out more highly than the experience of Yamamoto? Because the way that pitchers are looked at now, stuff is stuff, right? Like if you have Paul Skeens stuff, you can be facing the host of this podcast and big league clubs are going to be like, well, that guy, I mean, these guys suck, but this guy can strike out anybody.
Right.
But I do think, I think it's comparable, but I don't think it would be as high because of the level of play at MPB.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. It's not exactly the same, but it's maybe the best comp we have. I don't know. It's just interesting. It's like such an absurd contract for someone who's never played in the major leagues. And I guess that's where my head's at. But
and I mean, talk about the undersized part of it.
He's never had Tommy John.
He's 5'10", 170, throws 100 miles per hour. Maybe, injuries are going to come there. Who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah. That's part of why when they did 12 years, I was also like, that I'm kind of okay with the Cardinals not doing, because regardless of your payroll, like when you do sign a guy to that high for that long, he's going to be on your team for that long.
Yeah.
And if he ends up having some injuries, which we're not rooting for, personally, he seems incredible. And I always want, as a baseball fan, I hope he's incredible. It'll be more fun to watch. But like, we don't know. And yeah, he's smaller. He's never had Tommy John. Like, this whole thing starts to collapse if he is only like a 3 or a 4,
right? Which
would still be like, don't get me wrong, it'd be good for the Cardinals, but like, I don't know. So, and
back to the Cardinals side, like, no matter what he turns out to do, like the Paul Skeens comparison, the whatever prospect you want to grab onto, like the Cardinals could have 100% used this,
right?
Like Nate said, would it make sense to bet almost $400 million on a guy who probably didn't even want to actually play for the Cardinals?
Right.
That I think that's really what it comes down to. Yeah. He wanted to be. I'm sure the Giants were realistically involved. I'm sure the Yankees were realistically involved. It's hard for me to imagine the Cardinals were, and
they stopped being a part of the reporting. Not that long ago. They were there at the beginning, but the last several weeks of it they've not been a name, and the only reason we've even like had any hope still was all the Newt Bar posting.
I know. Newt Bar's going to the Dodgers.
Yeah, I know. I feel like, will the Dodgers overpay considerably on like a Newt Bar trade just because they know? Like,
no, because they're also the smartest organization. Yeah. They don't do that. That's like the thing that's so annoying about being a Cardinals fan and watching the Dodgers do this is that the Dodgers use all of their levers of player acquisition appropriately. They have more money than anyone, so boom, we're just going to throw it at you.
Right.
We develop talent better than anyone, so we're just going to trade you the guys that we don't like as much for guys of yours that for the Glasnows of the world that we haven't developed. And they pull all the levers appropriately, and if and when they make a mistake, oops, who cares? Here's all of the money in the world to fix that mistake.
Yeah. But you know what? LOL Kershaw in the postseason.
LOL Kershaw in the postseason.
Yeah.
How is Clayton Kershaw feeling right now? Kershaw,
he's a free agent. Technically,
he's a free agent. He is not a Dodger.
No.
The Dodgers just signed a new face of the franchise, Shohei Ohtani.
2 of them, kind of.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yoshinobu Yamamoto, he's pitcher only, is the new ace, at least for this season,
right.
or number 2 for this season. And you got Kersh. Sandy Koufax reincarnated, just kind of like sitting at his home in Texas being like, hey, I've been holding up this franchise for 12 years.
Yeah. Well, I suspect there's actual conversations happening. I'd be surprised if he's just like completely out there. Like, what the fuck? Because the story is that he basically won't be able, if he pitches in 2024, it won't be until the back half of the season.
Right.
And so I suspect there is either like the Dodgers have been like, hey, just give us a minute. We kind of got a lot on our plates right now. Glass now.
We just spent $1 billion.
Joe Kelly.
Yeah. End of list.
End of list. Just hang tight.
Yeah.
You're doing fine,
Yeah.
And we're going to learn about a 1-year deal here at some point. Or they're going to just be like, just continue on your recovery. Once you're ready to pitch, give us a call and we'll work out the contract then. And he'll sign in like June.
Yeah.
And then he'll start in August. And I guess maybe depending on how the season has gone, be there 2 or 3 or 4 in the playoffs,
Man.
Yeah. Or come out of the bullpen for them. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like
or
might
he'll
also
be a Ranger.
Or he'll just retire. He says he wants to pitch.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised with his injury track record if everyone is just saying like, go get healthy.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about a contract when you're back.
Right.
Well, another guy signed. We were talking about this right at the end of the last episode because kind of the rumors were all coming together.
Right.
But it happened, and it's even like more than we were expecting. So Matsui, who like everyone was pretty hyped on as a Cardinal, as Cardinal fans.
Well, he was connected to the Cardinals so
he
early.
visited St. Louis too, not that long ago.
Right.
So everything was really looking like it was coming together. And he has now signed with the Padres for 5 years.
Right.
Super low AAV. You're probably out there thinking like, could the Cardinals not have beaten this? And obviously they could have. Any team could have beaten from an AAV standpoint. But you said a lot last week, and I think it's become even more true because last week we thought it was a 3 or a 4-year deal. Now it's a 5-year deal.
Right.
Like this one, we're super fine with the Cardinals not signing a 30-year-old undersized reliever who's never pitched in the majors for 5 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk. I actually don't think I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. If you gave I'm
right in front of you. It'd be pretty crazy to see it.
4 or 5 year deal.
Actually, I can't really see it because these lights are.
He is being actively shot by a green laser beam. But it's worth it for me. If you were to give a 4 or 5 year deal to a reliever, it would have to be a Josh Hader, Ryan Helsley, Edwin Diaz type player to me. That's the only one that makes sense to me. I think betting, even though Yuki Matsui has years of success in Nippon professional baseball, I think giving a deal of this length to any reliever of this quality, of this future value rating, however you want to break it down, just does not make sense. He's an undersized guy. His fastball tops out at about 94. He's not a massive strikeout guy, which of course, NPB, there's not a lot of strikeouts to begin with. So, give that what it is. He has a nice slider. I think that he will likely be successful. I think it is very unlikely that he is closing big league games regularly. And I think making this type of commitment to a middle reliever just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And it's not the Cardinals need to step up. It's I'd much rather bet on Ryan Fernandez popping off. I'd much rather bet on Wilking Rodriguez. I'd much rather bet on name any of those guys. Look, like you don't see the Rays making this kind of deal, and they routinely have the best bullpen in baseball, irrelevant of salary.
Right.
It's more of a methodology than a dollar amount.
Roster management. Yeah,
exactly.
And bullpen is such a small sample size. You kind of want the ability to just jettison and move on quickly like the Rays do. And so they are now paying him on average $5.6 million a year for the next 5 years. Again, it's
a bizarre move.
It is bizarre. And I'm guessing that came from Matsui's preference. My guess is that the Cardinals were in on him up until the end because he will probably be an effective major league starter, reliever, but they probably wanted him for a couple years and were maybe willing to give him I would be surprised if they weren't beating this AAV.
Yeah.
But he probably was prioritizing years. It's like, which happens sometimes. We saw that with this is a totally other end of the spectrum, but Bryce Harper his AAV was way lower than most people expected, but he wanted to sign a contract that would end his career.
Yeah.
Which not a contract that ends his career.
Yeah.
That'd be when you your hand falls off while you're
kill
signing.
You. Yeah. You see, he's asking for an extension.
Yeah, it's interesting. He has said that he's I think it's being a little over reported, but from my understanding, he's basically implying can we just talk about this and get it done? And can we just give me the contract to where I retire as a Philly and it's not even a conversation anymore? I think he's projecting that he's going to play past 37 or 38 or whatever, which is super fair. Yeah.
He's very good.
Yeah. He I think will be Inner Circle Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
But anyway, he just wants it to be done, which is interesting. It clearly shows his priorities because that's what he was going for with his 13-year deal.
Right.
And now he's that's not even long enough. He's I don't want to think about contracts.
Yes.
So much so that there's 9 more years on my contract and it's bugging him, I guess. And he just wants to get it over with. But I don't think it's he's knocking down the door on it. I think he more said, I'd be willing to talk about an extension unless I need this.
And baseball news is quiet, so it makes the front page.
And it's Bryce Harper.
Yeah.
For a while, he was the closest thing we had to an enigmatic face of baseball.
Yeah. I like him being one of our faces of baseball. I think he's
too.
Fun.
Yeah, I like Bryce Harper. He's one of my favorite players.
Should be baseball. A Cardinal.
I know that. Yeah, they had. I mean, it was never going to happen, but that's one of the ones.
Could have.
When you go back and look at these free agent opportunities that the Cardinals had a chance at, it's him. It's obviously the Scherzer one. There's a few where you're just man, we'd be so much better.
Yeah.
And there were deals that they could have done.
Hey, we have Goldie and Arenado.
That's true.
It's all right.
Yeah. So those two guys are off the market, and Matsui, it's fine. Honestly, both of them, it's fine.
It is fine. It's fine, Nate.
Yeah,
I'm okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Also, this means that free agency might start a little more.
Well, now, yes, the Snell rumors are picking up.
Yeah, almost immediately as soon as Yamamoto signed.
Of course, yeah, and it's only because it's been holidays that it's slowed down. I suspect next week, if not this week, we're going to start getting more things off the table.
Right.
We're going to switch gears totally, though, now and do something that we haven't really done much this offseason, but we talked about it a little bit. So Steamer projections came out a month or two ago. If you don't know what Steamer is the projection system that Fangraphs uses. And we both love Fangraphs. It's
one of the projections they use.
It's one of the ones, and it's sort of seen as their in-house projection system. At least that's how I've always sort of perceived it as. I looked it up because I was interested. I didn't know this. So it was developed by Jared Cross, which I didn't know. But I did not know he was a high school science teacher in Brooklyn. And two of his former students, Dash Davidson, cool name.
Amazing name.
And Peter Rosenblum helped develop it.
Less cool name, but
so
cool,
Dash Davidson.
Sounds like some nerds. Yeah. And two nerds and one really cool dude.
Yeah, he rolled up in his motorcycle.
Yeah.
Took off his sunglasses and helped him develop a projection system. So Steamer's pretty good, though.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ins and outs. We're not going to get into all the details about how Steamer, its methodology or whatnot, but it tries to algorithmically predict what these players will do next year. They're often the first major projection system out. My favorite one is Zips.
Yeah.
And they roll those, and they're also available on Fangraphs, but they roll them out a lot slower. Steamer just comes out, boom, it's available.
Yeah.
And no projection system is perfect. It is a mathematic thing, and there's the entire human element, but it does try to predict, it doesn't try to predict injuries, but it takes injury history into consideration. Right. And so we thought it would be, interesting here when there's almost no actual Cardinal information out there, Cardinal news, to take just sort of a glance at the Steamer projections and talk about maybe some things that have stood out to us in these projections. So Ben, I'll give it to you first. Like, what stood out
Yeah.
to you when you looked at these projections?
Yeah, I want to pick on something that I think Steamer probably has wrong to start our chat about that. And this is, I want to talk about Nolan Gorman, who is projected at having a fine season. It's saying he's going to put up 2.3 WAR. He's going to play 118 games. I bet he beats that. His walk rate and his K rate are going to be kind of right in line with what he's been doing. And playing generally good, above average baseball. The biggest problem that I have with this projection system is it has him at 26 home runs. I think he is going to eclipse that really easily. And if you watch some of the power output that he had last year, I don't think I'm really going that much out on a limb. But a couple of things I want to know to why I think that is Nolan Gorman was pretty well protected against lefties last year.
Right.
He only had 86 plate appearances against lefties. But guess what, Nate?
What's that?
840 OPS against lefties.
Pretty good.
Higher by almost 50 points than righties.
Yeah.
I don't expect that to maintain, but I think it shows that he's capable of having productive at-bats from that side of the plate, which I think means he will more likely get increased playing time.
Yes.
The other reason I want to talk about that, it will break down his season. And obviously he missed some games towards the end of the season. So, add that caveat to this part of the conversation. But in the first 2 months of the season, he averaged over a 900 OPS. He then had a horrible June where he had a 439 OPS. He jumped back into July and had 944 OPS. Went back down in August with his injury, with a 628, and then came out September and October with a 900 OPS again. So what I'm getting at is obviously he scuffled. He was making adjustments in June with that very low OPS. He had some injuries, but when he was rocking and rolling, he was hitting rolling an OPS over 900.
Yeah,
I don't think it's unlikely for him to keep that up. Obviously, that would be very difficult to maintain a 900 OPS, but I think he has the power and the patience to do that. It's going to come with a lot of strikeouts. But I also think the home run total is going to eclipse. I'm going to say it's going to eclipse 35. So I think he's going to have a way more productive offensive season. And hopefully Mo figures out a way for him to be in the lineup pretty much every day, second base DH.
Yeah. I generally agree with you. I do think that the projection system, I think, is projecting him to have the prolific power that you are saying. It's just they're docking him a lot because they don't think he's going to play a full season.
Right.
Because they have him projected at 26 home runs, like you said, over 490 at bats.
Yeah.
Whereas they have Paul Goldschmidt projected for 28 home runs, only 2 more home runs than Gorman, with 676 plate appearances. So they're saying Paul Goldschmidt's only going to hit 2 more home runs than Gorman with over 200 more or nearly 200 more at bats. So they are giving Gorman like a prolific power, and these high strikeout guys, it's not an uncommon mold to have that really streaky type of season, whether it's injuries or otherwise. Look at like a Max Muncy, these like 220 batting average, but they're going to pop nearly 40 home runs. Like, I think that's what they are projecting him as. But I don't disagree with you though, because I do think we saw Nolan Gorman, and this is where projections get tricky. And this is also where we become very biased as Cardinal fans, because Nolan Gorman had a rookie season, which was pretty good. Then he had a sophomore year that he got even better. And so I think you and I are both projecting not just like more playing time, maybe more consistency, but an actual next step up, because we've watched him get better at the major league level. And the projection system, they do try to project growth,
right?
But that's where they're usually wrong in one or two directions. They're wrong because someone totally breaks out and they completely miss, or they like just completely miss the season for whatever reason, right?
It leans conservative.
It does lean conservative. And so,
I just don't see Nolan Gorman rocked an 11.4% walk rate last year.
Yeah.
And it's projecting him for a 9.
It's a regression.
I don't think that that's going to happen.
Yeah. I thought the same. I think that because we saw that his walk rate got better over the season.
Yeah.
So like we saw growth, and I anticipate that growth continuing and him having better than this projection. But I do think the projection system at the very least is saying he's going to hit the ball really hard because that's a lot of home runs.
He's definitely going to hit the ball really hard. Something that this is kind of tangential to our conversation right now, but I've been doing, we're doing the homers on Twitter, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm watching a lot of homers, and what I'm impressed by is how many, not only opposite field home runs that Nolan Gorman hits, but opposite field bombs.
Yeah.
And my baseball mind tells me that when a player has the ability to go the opposite way with a ton of power, I just see it developing really, really nicely. And he's going, hopefully he's not that Kyle Schwarber, that one-dimensional power hitter.
Right,
He's he can slap the ball around with power, get on base. But yeah, that's kind of that's the one I'm going to pick on the most.
Yeah. I want to talk about Jordan Walker. There's an interesting thing with his projection. So offensively, they're giving him, I think we would ultimately probably be disappointed offensively with this season, but it would not be a horrible season for a 21-year-old / 22-year-old.
He's so young.
They're looking at, they have him projected for 19 home runs across 538 or 39 plate appearances. That right there, I think, is interesting because the algorithm is likely seeing that he only, he got 2/3 of a season last year because of the demotion and whatnot. But I think we as Cardinal fans know, unless he's hurt, he's going to be starting every single day.
Yeah.
And so unless he's hurt or there's a complete collapse of his plate approach, I think you're penciling him in for 650 at bats or so.
Oh, can't wait.
And so I do think these counting stats are a little low, but the ratios are probably somewhere fine, right around 10% or 8% walk rate, 22% strikeout rate. You'd actually be pretty happy with either of those. And then what's interesting, though, is that his total season WAR is projected at 1.3, which would put him at below average as a major league player. And that is predominantly because of his -13 defensive WAR. They are, I think, fairly projecting
100%. He sucked last year.
But if I'm going to put on I'm in a party room right now. I'm putting on my Cardinal colored glasses. They got Time to Fly blasting in the background.
Yeah.
We definitely saw Jordan Walker get better and better and better in right field. By the end of the season, he was on highlight reels. Making difficult plays. He robbed that home run. He had that diving play. His hat flew off, looking great. Like, I don't think he's going to be this bad.
No.
In the outfield or wherever he ends up. Maybe they also can cycle him in with DH a little bit more to protect that a little bit more. I know there's still the log jam. We're not going to talk about all that right now, but like they may try to protect him a little bit more, but I think he will be better at right field. And I actually think with what we saw last year, which is someone who's able to improve at the major league level, he could end up being a pretty good right fielder. Like there are people of his size with that arm, with that, like he's obviously a guy who works hard. He's an incredible baseball mind. I'm not going to say he will be a great right fielder, but I think he can beat this. He is like, I don't know. What are they've got, like there's no one else that is really seen as like that bad.
I think he was the worst fielder in baseball last year.
Yeah. So it's got to be better. And it's fair that the projection systems would project him to be horrible again. And so we're both picking ones that we think the player is going to be better because we're a Cardinal podcast. But I think Nolan Gorman outpacing his projections and Walker outpacing his defensive projections, I think are realistic expectations. Because if he's even as bad as he was last year in right field, I think, the projection probably puts him more at like 3 or 4 WAR as a Cardinal.
Yeah.
And now we're like, hell yeah. What a great season for a second year for a 21-year-old at the big league level.
Yeah. And obviously, the one thing he's working on in the off season
for sure
is defense.
And last year was so weird across the board.
Yeah.
It's like probably fair that defense wasn't his top priority, but even with that, we saw him get better. It was one of
the whole yo-yoing Jordan Walker over getting the ball in the air and then them taking that back and letting him play and him coming up and say, oh yeah, I kind of stopped doing that and I just went back to what I was doing. Like, oh my God, the Cardinals are embarrassing.
It was a lot, but it's gonna be a new year.
My God, yeah,
they'll be better.
Yeah.
Anything else? We wanted to keep this section a little tight, but anything else steamer wise that you want to talk about?
It's really fun to see Sonny Gray at the top with a nice projection. I think something that is interesting, caught me off guard a little bit, is that Steamer is saying that Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson are going to be more productive than Miles Michaelis. So I don't know how much I buy that. I know that projection systems generally are unkind to Miles because he doesn't strike out a lot of guys, but we've seen him kind of defy that. Maybe this is the year it goes to hell. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then, it's stark when you see the innings that Gray, Lynn, Gibson, and Michaelis are expected to get, and then what happens after that with Mats and Zach Thompson, so on and so forth.
It's pretty rough where your top 5 are your projected starters, but then it is a sheer drop off to your relievers. There's no one else in the projection that is expected. It's like if these 5 guys don't fill that rotation, who will be? And, we've had that conversation.
I don't even want to hit it any more than that. One other thing that I think is kind of fun, just looking at the team from a 30,000 foot view and looking at the projections, is the fact that the projection systems, and I believe that the offense and the position player production is going to be driven by, of course, Arenado and Goldie, but Nootbaar and Contreras as well. It seems like, as long as Lars is helpful, he'll be helpful. Healthy next year, he should be one of the the drivers of the offense. High walk rate, good slug, all that stuff. And I don't think it'd be said we haven't given Wilson enough credit for what a great season that he had last year. He was a masher.
Well, especially the problem with it was not his problem, but the problem with like the narrative is that his truly elite part of the season was when the Cardinals were already done. And so most people aren't really talking about what's going well for the Cardinals in August and September. Like half the fans aren't even watching anymore. And so, and if you forget, he was one of the best offensive players in baseball for like the last 2 months of the season last year.
He took it down to Miami. He was doing it Big Willie style. It was Millennium. This is Nightmare on My Street. It was damn it, that's all I got.
Why though? Where'd that come from?
Wild West.
Wild West, of course. Now I see. He has a cigar, but it's just for the looks, kids. He doesn't bite it. Or he does bite it.
He does bite it, but he won't light it.
Which that's the worst part, is biting it.
Yeah.
I don't even smoke cigars, and I know. You don't like to bite it.
Yeah, I can't smoke
unless
cigars.
they just mean
I've tried.
No,
I can't do it.
Yeah. I think like a lot of people, there was that period in like my early 20s where I was like, I'll go to a cigar shop and buy a cigar and sit around and smoke cigars and drink whiskey or something. And I just remember it was horrible.
I don't think I don't have the right setup to do it.
Yeah, well, it also feels nowadays like an insane thing to get into now,
unless you're looking to shorten your life. Which, in that case,
hey, maybe you are. And you know what? I'm sure there's some cigar smokers who are listening. So, you let us know what you enjoy. I smoked cigarettes for like years before quitting.
But that was just to be cool. And guess what?
And it worked.
You look cool.
Thank you.
Hell yeah.
But even as someone who smokes cigarettes, I've enjoyed tobacco.
Yeah.
A cigar just seems like an insane thing to get into.
They're nasty.
Yeah. We got some cigars as a wedding gift.
Yeah.
And they're like still in my
We should smoke them.
Let's go get them. That would be the worst thing.
I just want to bite it, but I won't light it.
Yeah. It's for the looks.
Do you have any other Will Smith songs you could throw out?
No.
Yeah.
It might be Here Come the Men in Black.
Here. Oh, that song rocks.
I wish more movies would have songs tied to them and dances tied to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was good.
I was doing the little shimmy.
Come the men in black. Yeah, that's good. I like it.
Yeah, we watched Die Hard with a Vengeance the other night.
Bruce Willis has a band. Used to have a band.
He did have a band. And it reminded me a lot of how great those 90s buddy cop films are.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because that one is the one with him and Sam Jackson, and they're doing the buddy cop thing.
Uh-huh.
Not all the Die Hard movies are buddy cop stuff, but they kind of are. And so it made me want to watch like your Lethal Weapons, your Rush Hours, your Shanghai Noons. You know,
keep going.
I think more movies need blooper reels at the end too.
Oh,
you know,
I love films. Bruce Willis's band, The Accelerators.
What was that? Was it 30-foot of grunts?
I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Russell Crowe.
Oh, he has a band too.
Yeah, 30-odd foot of grunts is his band name.
Foot of grunts.
30-odd foot of grunts.
He seems like a weird guy.
Yeah, but you know he's like a Wayno. He doesn't need this. He doesn't need to be in a band.
Russell Crowe is like a Wayno.
But, you know.
Well said.
He's got the music in him.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Great point.
What if there was a Men in Black style song
for Gladiator
that Russell Crowe
yeah, I don't. He's singing about the fields of heaven.
Yeah,
that he's arrived to after being slain on the battle. What do you even?
Or like it's a pump up song. You know,
yeah.
And he's like in the music videos in the pit fighting a tiger or whatever.
Hell yeah!
But he's dance dodging them.
Man, nothing is cooler than that idea.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I nailed it.
That was sick.
We have to delete this episode so that no one takes my idea. All right, let's move on. Anything else steamer related you want to talk about?
No, I think the Cardinals are mostly in good. I mean, they look better on paper right now.
They do look better on
in
paper.
Real life.
They like Fangraphs projections like the Cardinals. They keep showing up in like top 10 rankings. Pacoda has the Cardinals in a top 10 ranking, and I get it because if everybody does what they're supposed to do and what's expected of them, then the Cardinals should be good in 2024. Not Dodgers good, but like they should compete for the NL Central and or a wild card. We just know it's like it feels impossible for them all to do what they're expected to do.
And the Cubs feel like a sleeping giant right now.
Yeah.
So they're going to do something.
Yeah. Although they did miss out on so far, like there was a lot of concern about Ohtani and Yamamoto being Cubs, and that did not happen.
It did not.
So we do like that. All right. We've got more to talk about, but before we do, we want to remind everyone that this show is supported by our listeners on Patreon, patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds. If you've enjoyed the show and you want to show your support, consider joining our Patreon. You can join fellow patrons like our two newest patrons, Lacey H. and Linda T.
Let's go.
Who have joined the podcast. That they were filled with the holiday spirit, and they decided to support something that they love, or at least that they they listen to sometimes.
Yeah, that's good enough.
And we appreciate it. We truly appreciate everyone, the new patrons and those who've stuck with us. And if you're considering it, patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds. Patrons of any level get access to our private Discord server. We call it the Bird Scored, baby. We're having a good time in there.
Tweet.
Right now we're planning a movie watch party. We've got other plans, and it's been growing slowly, but we're growing, and we'd love for you to be a part of it. Show your support for our show. You can also consider leaving a review on your favorite podcast platform. That helps. And Ben, where can people find us online otherwise?
Follow us on Twitter at Talk About Birds. We are also on Instagram at Talking About Birds. This show is available on Spotify. Listen to us there. Add us to your playlists. Get us on that Wrapped shit or whatever. We're on TikTok. Check us out on TikTok. You can come look at our faces on TikTok. If you have any questions, thoughts, criticisms, you can email us at talkaboutbirds@gmail.com. We will read them and enjoy them. You can find all of that information at talkingaboutbirds.com. We have t-shirts there, show links, all kinds of crap there. Go to talkingaboutbirds.com. And of course, you can call us at 848-48-BIRDS. Again, that is 848-482-4737. You can call us. You can leave a text. I'm looking at the camera now. You can call us, leave a voicemail. You can text message us. I think those are the only two things you can do. But you can do that at 848-482-4737. Call us now.
You can do what the spam bots are doing and send me text messages of links to Snapchat things that I've not clicked on that I'm sure are scams.
That's pretty good.
But yeah, 848-48-BIRDS.
Yeah.
I went to look at the camera and my eyes had to do like a total adjustment because of the bright blinding that it's.
You look good.
Thank you.
You actually look more serious than you normally look to me.
Do I normally come off as serious?
No.
Okay. So this is a good thing.
You're a joke.
That's what I'm saying. Okay. It's a bad thing. Okay. Should have guessed. All right. We're going to run through some league news, despite it being, a holiday week. There still was a little bit of movement.
Things are flying, Nate.
Things are flying.
Come on now.
What do you got?
We're in person. I haven't really taken advantage of it. I feel like I should hit you or
you feel like you should hit me.
Do a spit take or something.
I would prefer neither of those. I guess of the two, honestly, I'd rather you hit me than spit on me.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't blame you for that.
I would see neither of them coming.
Just continue to blind you. Okay, the Blue Jays and Kevin Kiermaier have rejoined. They agree on a 1-year deal, $10.5 million. Dude put up almost 4 WAR last year.
Yeah.
And the Blue Jays just grab him for $10.5 million. Great deal from the Blue Jays. He'll probably regress from his offensive performance last year, but he's a good player, underrated player. Probably the best defender, center field defender of his generation. And good for him. Good for them. Seems like a nice deal.
Yeah, I've been a big fan of Kiermaier for quite a while. Now, when I look at his fan graphs it was 2.2.
I think, wow, Baseball Reference must really like him. I don't know why that is.
His defense, yeah. But it's a good deal. I mean, like I said, I really like Kiermaier. He has been one of my favorite players really since he came up. I think he's what a lot of us thought we might have had in a Harrison Bader.
Yeah.
And so you can see why he's so valuable. He does nothing bad. Like his worst attribute he does at like an MLB average level. And then he does have incredible center field defense.
Yeah.
And even if whatever WAR system you want to look at, even 2.2, that's valuable.
Yeah.
And it's 10.5 million. Like it's hard for this deal to go wrong for for Toronto. He is getting old. This will be his age 34 season, and speed has been a part of his game for his whole career. He's not a huge stolen base guy, though. He doesn't not steal bases, but just his quickness is part of his whole thing.
Sure.
And so you do wonder, like, at what point does he start to really regress? And I suppose that's why he keeps getting these like little deals rather than ever landing a good long deal with a team, because this is the sort of profile, and we see it with Bader, where like if he doesn't do everything well, then he suddenly becomes like super not valuable, because just having a defensive specialist center fielder, like, it's cool, it sounds nice, but like
I like it.
You can only really afford it though if like you have a good offense everywhere else.
Sure.
And the Tampa Bay Rays, or I keep saying the Rays, the
Blue Jays.
The Blue Jays should be that team.
Yeah.
They have stars all over the place.
Maybe Vlad sucks now.
No, I think Vlad is going to have a huge 2024.
Sure, everybody's thought that the last few years.
But we talk about underlying numbers.
I know, but he just hasn't been putting it up though.
Look at his 2023.
Oh, I've seen it.
I don't think you have.
I have. You
gotta look at the numbers.
It's all red everywhere. No, his baseball savant looks great. His Fangraphs looks great. But the fact of the matter is he hasn't put it up.
Except for 2 years ago when he, should have or was equally deserving of a MVP as Ohtani.
I'm just saying it's 1 out of his 5 years. I'm just saying, what have you done for me lately, Vladdy boy?
He still had a pretty good year last year.
He put up 1 WAR.
Is it only 1?
You dumbass.
You're the one.
All right, I'll keep moving. The Mariners and Mitch Garver, for a World Series champion, Mitch Garver, have agreed to a 2-year, $24 million deal. I think that this is a great deal.
This is big dumper erasure. Okay, they don't need anyone else back there.
He's gonna DH. He's just a good hitter. He'll probably catch a few times.
Okay,
but I think Mitch Garver is a massively. You want to talk about underlying numbers?
Yeah,
massively underrated hitter. 2 years, $24 million. This guy's going to hit 30 home runs playing, getting the DH. Big Dumper is going to be backing him up, or he's going to be backing Big Dumper up. I think it's a great play. I think that the Mariners are very annoying in the way that they've handled their payroll, but I do think this is a smart, savvy add to the team.
Well, they needed to get rid of strikeouts. And they've been kind of restructuring their offense around Julio. They traded Kelenic. They let Teoscar go. And they promised they were going to use the money, and they weren't just doing salary dumps.
Yeah.
And I do agree that this is a good deal. So, yeah, we'll see.
I like it.
Yeah.
Do more of that.
He had 500 slugging with Texas last year.
Yeah. The Tigers and Shelby Miller have agreed to a deal. It's a 1-year contract, guaranteed $3 million. There are some escalators and some accelerators featuring Bruce Willis included in that deal. Shelby Miller, I think he is going to be a extremely solid relief pitcher going forward.
Yeah.
He proved that with the Dodgers last year. And I don't know. He's still young. He's 33. He'll probably have a very nice year and do well. And the Tigers keep making these little incremental machinations to make their team 1% better. Probably not enough, but I like it.
I do too. This was never really on the Cardinal radar. I think for a number of reasons, but I would have loved this as a Cardinal signing.
Yeah.
1 year, 3.5 or whatever. You can't get lower risk than that. And you want to talk about underlying numbers. He looked like he has really unlocked something after going full-time bullpen.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to be good for them. And I think that the AL Central is rightfully seeing itself as wide open. I was looking at it earlier today. I had forgotten or not realized that there was only one team over 500 on that entire division. And the one that was the Twins. And they really only got there right at the end. Partly because of the Royce Lewis explosion, So, yeah, I think all of these teams are looking at we don't have to do much more to win, which is also, I think, kind of shitty and why I'm starting to become more and more pro the idea of getting rid of the divisions. But yeah, we've talked about that enough.
Yeah, I think, you look at the Tigers and you see Riley Green, Spencer Torkelson, and Kerry Carpenter in the middle of that lineup, and you could see them taking the Central kind of easily because that division sucks so much, but we'll see. The Royals are actually trying.
The Royals are trying with in their way.
Yeah.
The Twins should be pretty good again.
Yeah.
Pablo Lopez, Joe Ryan.
Yeah.
Royce Lewis maybe help Carlos Correa, maybe a bounce back. I don't know.
Byron Buxton might play.
Yeah. They did win 87 games.
Yeah.
So they're the returning favorites, I'm sure, right now.
No Sonny Gray, though.
That's true. It's true. That's actually pretty big.
All right. Final piece of news. MLB Competition Committee approves a handful of changes for the year 2024. A couple of those changes are the pitch clock is going down from 20 to 18 seconds with runners on. I kind of view that as who cares? Smell you later, whatever. Mound visits are decreasing from 5 to 4 per game. Again, who cares?
Mm-hmm.
Smell you later. I've never watched a game and mound visits. Or they've never been a part of the game that I've watched.
Yeah.
Another a change is if a pitcher starts to warm up on the mound before the inning, he must face at least one batter. And this one I didn't fully understand because it kind of doesn't make any sense to me. But then reading more about it, essentially what that means, it's a time waster saver. If you're having a pitcher in between innings warm up on a mound and the inning goes to start, you could then pull that pitcher out and essentially buy the guy in the bullpen more time and then have him come out and he can throw his pitches. So now if a pitcher goes to warm up, they cannot be taken out of the game until they face one pitcher. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I guess it's kind of like a cleanup of a potential exploit. And so I guess it's fine. I saw someone said it happened. This exact situation happened roughly something like 24 times.
26 times. 26. Wow. I'm surprised you had that at the top of your head.
Yeah.
Impressive.
Thank you. I remember the dumbest shit and forget important stuff. But that, I mean, it's such a minuscule thing.
Yeah.
Like 26 times where a guy got a couple extra pitches in a bullpen is not going to change anything.
No.
But I mean, they're just trying to clean everything up, get everything as tight as possible. And if you keep doing these things, it does add up, which is what this feels like.
Yeah.
But it's also like it's not a change anyone will ever observe.
No, it'll be funny when somebody does break the rule. Inevitably, that's the only time we'll remember it. I think it shows that baseball is paying attention to its own product in a way that I think is encouraging. But outside of that, who cares?
Yeah. Well, you've got one more to read.
One more quick one. The runner's lane to first, when the batter is running down to first, has been widened to the infield grass, and that's just so that their running lane is a little bit more clear, the runner having the right of way down that. And I think that's a fine rule change as well.
Yeah, that one's fine. I'll do a tiny rant about the 18 seconds with runners on versus 20. I don't feel like we need to make it even shorter.
Yeah.
Like it already, it's fine. It is already feels a little rushed. And I think we've all come to an agreement that these time changes are a huge success for the game.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't need to keep tightening it. Yeah. Like I would have actually, I think I'd been happier if they would have said, we're going to give just a little bit of a window back because, we don't need to cut a full half hour off of every game. Let's do 17 seconds for every pitch with no runner and 22 for runners on.
Yeah.
I would have been happier with that, giving just a little bit back, but squeezing it even more feels entirely unnecessary because I don't think anyone left this season being like, man, I wish these were even shorter, you know? And I know it's only 2 seconds, so it's not going to make a significant difference, but it's like, is there an actual stated goal? Like, do they actually have an average game time that they're aiming to? And they think they just need to keep picking away at it. Because if so, we're not being told that. But I'm not the target audience for these changes. So it's like, I wasn't even super pro the pitch clock change in the first place, even though I've come to appreciate it. I just don't see why another 2 seconds. What do we get out of that? Anyway.
Yeah, I think I fully agree with everything you said. Yeah, full stop. That's all I got for league news.
Okay. We're going to wrap up this episode. It's the new year, Ben. I'm bringing in a blended version of one of our favorite games, Who Charted?
Who Charted?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I
heard that in real life.
This is
It's amazing.
Yeah. Who Charted New Year's edition. So I've got a list of facts from the 2024 2023 season.
I was gonna say, oh my god.
Yeah, I can time travel, but for the most mundane purposes. I've got a series of facts from the 2023 season, basically some trivia questions for you about 2023, as well as some just broader New Year's Eve resolution type questions as well.
All right.
Okay. So we're going to start with a fact. Which position player led the team in strikeouts in 2023?
Which position player led the team in strikeouts in 2023? My mind goes to Gorman. He's a little strikeout prone. Willie strikes out, but he maybe didn't play enough. That might also be true for Gorman. Goldie struck out a lot last year. He also played a lot last year. It's not going to be Arenado. He keeps his Ks low. I'm going to say that Paul Goldschmidt led the team in strikeouts last year.
You got it, Paul.
Let's go.
Paul Goldschmidt, 161 strikeouts.
Is that a career high for him?
I'm sure that it was. I can look it up in a minute.
He's in the lab, baby.
He is.
Getting things writing out. Figure it out.
All right. I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit, Ben.
That is a career. Oh, no, it is not. Sorry. He had 166 strikeouts in 2019.
Okay. First year as a Cardinal. What was your favorite baseball moment of 2023?
My favorite baseball moment of 2023. Ooh, there weren't many ones to really, really be excited about from a Cardinals standpoint. Jordan Walker coming up and having the hit streak wasn't an individual moment, but that was extremely
I'd count that as like a moment.
Yeah. That was really great. And there was still hope. And we were having a good time. And I love watching him play. I think I cannot wait to watch him play. And he's having so much fun doing it. Outside of that, I don't know. This isn't a moment either, but the Phillies Braves series was a lot of fun.
I think moment, I'm fine with a broad definition of moment. I'll let you think for a second, because I did think about this a little bit, having written the question, and one that did stand out to me is also Jordan Walker, because I agree with you. He became my main reason for continuing to watch the Cardinals.
100%. Yeah.
And there was a game, I believe it was mid-September, September 17th or something like that. The Cardinals were playing the Phillies, and Jordan Walker broke a tie game late in the game with a 3-run bomb. Absolute jack.
Yeah.
And while there may have been more consequential moments, because obviously the Cardinals were out of it at this point, I'm sure earlier in the season, there were still some times when I felt like Cardinals were still in it. This is a big win, etc. But when I thought back of 2023, that game, that home run really gave me a glimpse of what Jordan Walker and what this team could look like when it's working. And it was the team coming back, beating a good team like the Phillies off the back of a monster home run from Jordan Walker. And it made me think, a lot of this season sucked. There's a lot of things about the Cardinals for us to be upset about, both on the field and off the field. But I'm still a fan of this team, and I still love watching baseball and Cardinal baseball. And so that moment was one that stood out to me, and something that I really love from 2023.
Yeah. Like I said, he's so much fun.
Yeah.
I'll try to think of more as we continue to talk, but I'll also throw out the Palacios brothers game that happened in Pittsburgh.
That was fun.
The season was done.
Yeah.
So seeing that go back and forth, and the love those guys had for each other, and then them also hitting homers, and that was a blast. So I'll keep thinking, but that's what comes top of mind.
All right. Who had the highest BABIP? Minimum 40 plate appearances in 2023. And by highest, I do mean the highest number.
Yeah.
While you're thinking BABIP, batting average on balls in play, basically when you put the ball in play. So not strikeout, not home run. What happens?
This is a tough one.
How many times does it become a hit?
Yeah. My first kind of thought is Tommy Edman because he's got the speed and he slaps it around, but he didn't really have a high enough batting average for that to really make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Brendan Donovan could also be really high up there because he's just that guy. But I'm going to say Wilson Contreras. Just he was so hot for so long, and it felt like every ball was falling. I'm going to say Wilson Contreras led the team.
It's a good guess. But I think part of the, maybe not the trick of this question, but the sort of the reality of the question is minimum 40 plate appearances does bring in some small sample sizes. And part of the reason I said that is because Ivan Herrera is actually the answer.
There was no chance I was guessing him.
Yeah. He had a 423.
That's pretty good. Sustainable for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now, who had the lowest BABIP? Same parameters.
Who had the lowest BABIP? There's some bad years had by the Cardinals this year. My guess, did Mason Wynn hit 40 plate appearances? I'm going to say he did. I'll go with Mason Wynn.
Very good. Yeah. You got it. It was Mason Wynn. So he had a BABIP of 196.
Oh, man.
So a little bit of hope and fear in both directions there, right?
Yeah.
Ivan Herrera, if you're just looking at the stat line, the basic stat line, you're like, there's the breakout, right? That's what we've been waiting for. But then when you peel back the numbers a little bit, there's definitely some luck there.
Yeah.
We're both very hyped on him in 2024. And obviously the organization has already made it clear he is the backup catcher. But you know, he had some luck in his little cup of coffee there.
Cannot wait to watch him play.
Same. What your guess on Contreras? So Contreras is a good guess. He actually had the 5th highest BABIP. But of the starters, both Jordan Walker and Paul Goldschmidt had higher BABIPs than him.
That makes sense.
So, but yeah, so it went Ivan, Oscar Mercado, although he only had 32 plate appearances, so he didn't qualify for this. And then Walker, Goldschmidt, and Contreras.
Yeah.
Okay. Ben, you have any New Year's resolutions for 2024?
Be doper, make more money, drink more beer. I don't know, just be
Jesus Christ. All those seem like pretty attainable for you, by the way.
No, I'm not really a resolution guy. Yeah. Maybe be a little healthier. I don't know. I feel like I could always eat more vegetables, eat more fruit. Probably less beer. No, I don't know. We'll see. I'll think about that more though.
Yeah. I used to be pretty like anti-resolution, in a very obnoxious way, in the way of
shocking.
I don't need arbitrary endpoints, things like that.
This sounds like something I would say about a holiday.
Yeah. But I have definitely found that, like, for a lot of people, like, that is a very useful tool for goal setting.
Yeah.
Is start and stop points. So I've tried to be less shitty about New Year's resolutions.
Yeah.
Last year,
less shitty would be a good resolution for you.
I can only do so much. Yeah. I can only change so much.
Move a mountain, right?
I said earlier tonight, I think maybe is some point in the last 4 days, I'm going to do a lot more snap pointing.
Yeah. We can't. He's practicing. It's pretty good.
Probably do some more air guitar.
That's also good.
Yeah.
You play the real guitar, which makes it confusing.
But I don't always have that with me, and sometimes I have
You always got your little fingers with
my
you.
air guitar.
Yeah,
I paid a lot of money for this air guitar.
That's cool.
In 2023, one of mine was to run a half marathon, and I did that. And so I think in 2024, I want to do it again.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Kind of an empty question because neither of us have a full answer for this just yet.
Yeah.
But
I'll get you back with the real answer next time we record. I'll think about it.
Yeah. I want to spend less time on bullshit social media, but
it's bad.
Yeah.
Check us out on TikTok.
Yeah, I know, right? As we produce content for social media. I used to read a lot of books, and I have not for a long time, so I want to get back to that.
I have. I'm also planning. I read too much crap. I want to get back into novel reading. I have a couple of novels picked out I'm going to read.
Well, maybe we can keep track of that a little bit on the show. If you're listening and you have a New Year's resolution that you'd like to share for us, let us know. Maybe I can make it a little more narrow. Do you have any baseball related resolutions for 2024?
I would very much like to go to spring training this year.
Yeah.
I think I was talking to some friends. I definitely would like to go to a game in Seattle. We have some friends that moved up there recently, so we'll come. I have not been to that ballpark, but I would like to travel for baseball more. I'd like to see more ballparks. I'm a little limited from my experiences there. So that we also I haven't been to Wrigley since I lived in St. Louis, so that's over 10 years. I would love to go back to Wrigley. It's one of my favorite ballparks in the country.
I haven't been in a long time either.
I'd like to go to baseball places, see more baseball. Always.
I was thinking about this because I did not attend a lot of baseball in person last year. It was the lowest I've done in my
You didn't even get a Shaq's Chicken.
I know, so I definitely want to get a Big Shack or whatever it's called at Busch Stadium. This actually kind of counter to what I was thinking, is that I think my resolution around baseball in 2024 is to go to more games but spend less money at the stadium.
Yeah,
if that
I think
makes
that's
sense.
Good. Yeah. We can especially like the games in Denver start at 6:40. I don't know what time they start here anymore.
7:15, 7:30.
But it's kind of right on that line, that 6:40 layer. Like, okay, well, I want to start getting down there. I don't have enough time to eat dinner.
Right.
Now I'm having a beer and a hot dog that's like so bad for you.
Yeah.
So expensive.
Yeah.
But
like a game can still be pretty affordable if you are just prioritizing the game.
Especially if you're going to a Rockies game.
Well, yeah. They'll actually just let you in.
Yeah. It's bad. The Rockies are going to be so bad next year.
Chris Bryant, rebound comeback player of the year.
Yeah. If he hits 25, I don't want to make any bets.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Who had the highest WRC plus on the Cardinals last year?
Highest? Is there a limit of?
I'll say qualified hitter.
Qualified hitter, highest OPS plus.
Not OPS plus, WRC plus.
WRC plus.
Although likely the same answer. But
the same answer.
But I don't actually know that, so I can.
My God, it's not Nolan Gorman, is it? We've been talking about him so much. Is it Paulie? Not Nato. Nato had a doo-doo year offensively a bit. Shoot. Newt? I'm going to go... no, I'm going to go Goldie. Paul Goldschmidt.
No. It was Wilson Contreras.
Look at that.
Yeah. Wilson Contreras had a 127 WRC plus.
Not bad.
So, again, like we had some reservations around the choice of going with Wilson over some other potential options, but Wilson Contreras was incredible for the Cardinals last year. It was maybe his best season in the major leagues. And he got off to an awkward narrative-y start with the Cardinals.
So stupid.
That was maybe somewhat his fault because, we did learn some things about how he was handling the pitching staff, but we should never have known any of that.
No.
That should have all stayed in the clubhouse. So that's not even his fault. Or rather, the perception of him is not his fault.
Right.
So I am a big fan of Wilson Contreras as a Cardinal, and I look forward to seeing him in 2024. Yeah. Paul Goldschmidt was number 2. And then some small sample size, Ivan Herrera, Richie Palacios, and then Newbar. So you were circling it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Wilson. It's kind of not even close, really. Lars was Paul was 122, so that's kind of close.
Yeah.
And then Lars, you're down at 118. You start to get some real separation. Okay. A couple more baseball ones, and then one more non-baseball one. Who do you think had the lowest home runs per 9 with a minimum of 30 innings pitched?
Lowest home runs per 9 with a minimum.
Home runs given up per 9 innings.
Did Ryan Helsley pitch? I know he was injured, but I think he made that. He gave up some bombs, though. Could also be Jordan Walker, or not Jordan Walker, Jordan Montgomery, because he was great while he was a Cardinal this year. Miles, I'm going to say Jordan Montgomery.
It was Ryan Helsley.
Damn it.
Tied. There would have been 2 acceptable answers. Jojo Romero.
Wasn't going to say Jojo Romero.
Yeah.
We talked about it. He was really good.
He was.
He had a nice year.
Now they both had 36 innings pitched as well.
Oh. Yeah.
They had very similar numbers across the board. They had a .25 home runs per 9.
Damn.
Yeah. All right. Now highest home run per 9, minimum 30 innings pitched.
Adam Wainwright?
No.
What?
Not Adam Wainwright.
Okay, I mean that's my guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
How is it not Adam Wainwright?
Well, because there was someone who didn't even last as long as Wainwright in the rotation.
Drew Rom?
No,
Jake Woodford.
Jake Woodford.
Oh, wow.
Over 47 innings, 2.08 home runs per 9. So,
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, he was getting shelled.
Sorry, Woody.
All right. If you could set a resolution for one player in 2024, what would it be?
If I could set a resolution for one player in 2024, what would it be? I think first thing that comes to my mind, and I think probably prompted because of the question you just shot at me, is Lance Lynn keeping the ball in the ballpark. He led the league in homers given up last year.
Yep.
And I believe that if he can fix that, he actually could have a pretty solid year for the Cardinals.
Yeah.
I'll say that. And then I want to see Newt stay healthy. I want to see Newt stay healthy above his defense. I want to see him get 500 plus plate appearances and really see what he can do. I think he has been the most one of my most, not only the personality and everything, but the game he brings came out of nowhere from my point of view. I want to see him put it together.
Yeah, it'd be fun too. It would be so much more fun.
Oh yeah,
it's always fun when someone's being great.
Yeah,
but when they're also that kind of guy, you're like, it's even more fun.
Yes.
I'm gonna get hyper specific because I haven't had time to think about this, but Nolan Arenado, stop swinging at low and outside pitches,
please.
That's it.
Yeah,
it's the core of his problem. There were a lot of problems in 2023, and I think for a lot of reasons, no one really wanted to point at Nolan Arenado.
Right.
But the fact is, he was one of the reasons why the Cardinals really struggled when you think about expectations versus reality.
Right.
He went from a 6 to 7 WAR player to a 2.
Yeah.
And so that's a significant drop off. Now he's the one I'm least worried about in 2024, but it's a part of it. And that was, we broke it down a number of times on the show. If he just doesn't do that, I think he's going to be right back in his MVP level. And that just does so much for the Cardinals.
Yeah.
So when your Hall of Famers play like Hall of Famers, your team is better.
It goes a long way.
Yeah. So that's mine.
Yeah.
Nolan, just stop swinging at him,
please.
All right. That'll do it for our live in-person last episode of 2023.
Wow.
Thank you all who listened all year. Thank you all who joined us along the way.
Yeah.
You'll be listening to this in the new year already. So hopefully that went well.
Don't put that on it. What are you doing? Shut up. It's going to be fine.
Ben, thanks for, spending all this time in the basement with me. I already am basically a blind person, and now I'm forever more blinded. But it was a bit that we committed to, and here we are at the end.
Crushed it.
So I hope you have a great dinner with your wife, and that we all ring into the new year, and we have a much better 2024 as Cardinal fans.
Yeah.
And just as people.
Wow. That's so nice. Thanks, Nate. I hope you have a lovely time watching your Bollywood film.
I will.
Okay.
That's for sure.
All right.
And with that, we'll be back next week, as always. And until next week, Mosaic, have a nice rest. Hope you had good holidays. And go get one more really good pitcher, please.
Someone.
Please.
Hader.
Montgomery.
One of those.
Snell.
Sure.
Any of them.
Scherzer.
Can't
get him.
Anyways. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
You know what's bullshit is that right behind you, it looks cool.
Well, you should have sat over here.
Yeah, I guess right on the roof above me, it looks kind of cool.
Yeah.
Should we hold on? I just want to try something.
What baseball podcast
Has
this?
Yeah, okay, we'll do this.
All right.
This will work.
This is my pod. My pod is
No.
amazing.
No. Are you into like memes from 20 years ago now again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's my new hipster thing.
Yeah. A mushroom. A podcast.